Hi everybody, this is Scott Sharp with Fretboard Toolbox, and today we're going to look at mastering keys on guitar in the key of C major, and it's from a new free book that a free little 8-page deal that I've got out for learning the keys of C, D, E, G, A, and A minor and F. So let's get started and I'll show you how it works. So this mastering keys here has the keys of C, G, D, A, and E major, and the key of A and E minor. And we're going to look at both the essential and complete editions today, Fretboard Toolbox editions, but we'll start with the essential. And we're going to look at 3 big ideas for this. So the big ideas are what chords sound good together, and learning the Roman numerals for those chords. So with the Essential Edition, that looks like this. So learning these Roman numerals and these chords that sound good. Okay, so those all match up. And then I want you to rate yourself on each of those chords. Noper means you can't do it at all. Yepper means you totally got it, mostly or kinda. So you're trying to move over to the yepper column on all of these and not just be able to play them, but be able to tell me these are the chords that are in the key of C major and these are the Roman numerals. So I say, what's the 4 chord in C major? And you say F, because that comes in real handy when you're trying to figure out songs on the fly. So when you're learning the chords, I also think it's huge to learn the notes that make up the chords. So the Essential shows you those with colored circles. So each major key has 3 major chords. So the 1, 4, and 5, C, F, G in the key of C major. So we'll start with the C major chord. And I'm just going to show you a position by the headstock to play it here. And it looks like this. So that's C, E, G, C, E. You can also play, you can add in this C or G major, G note up here. So we're playing C, E, G, C, E. So even if you already know the chords, being able to see the chord notes makes a huge difference because you can find other ways to play them. And then for the 4 chord, we want to be able to play F major. So you could start here. That's F, A, C, F, or F, A, C, F. You can throw in this C. I like that it's got a little fuller sound, or if you know how to play the bar chord here, it has an even fuller sound. So that's the 4 chord, F major. And then the 5 chord is G major. So you probably know this one. And you've probably seen people say, oh, you can also add this 3rd fret here. You can add this D note. And if I know G majors are made of G, B, and D, then it makes sense why I can throw that D in there. So that's G major, that's your 5 chord. And then you've got 3 minor chords. There's the 2 chord, which is D minor, D, F, A. E minor's the 3 chord, E, G, B. And A minor's the 6th chord, A, C, E. So to play a D minor, I could start on this open D and play D, A, D, F, like this. And that's the one I play most of the time for D minor. Then for E minor, it's E, G, and B notes. So I can go open, 2nd fret, and open on all these. There's your E minor. That's your 3 chord. And then your 6th chord is A minor. And usually start on this A, play A, E, A, C, E, like this. So there's C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. And then once you know those chords, you want to know some ways to arrange the chords. So that's your chord progressions. So learning these are all your basic chord progressions that use the chords that are in the key. So if you go down to the chord progression section, you want to rate yourself on all those too. So if I say let's play a 1-5-1, you're going to play C, G, C. Or if I say let's play a 1-4-5, C, F, G, back to C. And I've got all these jam tracks that you can play with for free if you go to the Fretboard Toolbox website, go to Tracks and Tab, and then click on 200 free jam tracks. And the basic ones, jam tracks, chord progressions in the keys, are all in this first column. So there's G major, A major, here's C major we're playing in today. Then there's more tracks that have some rule breaking chords, and the minor tracks and blues tracks. Tells you what pages to use with essential and complete books. But with all these chord progressions, I can put them on and play along with them and practice strumming and just practice being able to move between the chords. Okay, here we go. So if I want to play a 1-5-1 and practice strumming along, there's the 5. And there's the chord progressions, all these different chord progressions, and played at different speeds, and it tells you scales to use, and it tells you chords that are in the key and what notes make up the chords. So we're going to use these same jam tracks for the soloing scales here in a minute. So I want you to know those chords that are in the key, the Roman numerals. I want you to know some chord progressions. And then I want you to be able to learn some soloing scales. So the two big soloing scales to know with major keys are your major scale and your major pentatonic. And you can see those on fretboard toolboxes. All the white boxes are your major scales, and all the underlined notes are your pentatonic scales. And so if I want to, it's a little easier to see on the complete edition because it doesn't have the colored circles, so we'll use that. And I just go to the key of C major. There's my chords, here's my chord progressions, and then here's all my white boxes. And so if I want to go from C to C, I could start on this C right here, and I'm going to go from C to C. So that looks like this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then if I wanted to go from this C up to here, I could play. And if I want to go from this C down to this C, and then I can mess with the order. So you can just go all to town with that, and it's a lot more fun to practice those scales with a jam track. So let's put one on here. Let's put on a 1-4-5, and we'll play it at 60% here. And I'm going to use those scales, so let me show you that again. And now I'm going to just mess around with the order. But even if I play it really slow, in order, it still sounds okay because you're just using the notes of the key and with chords that fit in the key. And then if we want to try like let's play a 1-6-4-5. And you can also just kind of limit yourself. So what if I play C, D, E only? And then we can open it up. So I set up all those jam tracks as just a real fun way. Like, even your best friend is not going to play a 1-6-4-5 for an hour for you while you go to town on figuring out the soloing stuff, but it makes a huge difference. And then if I want to play the pentatonic stuff, I'm just going to play the underlined notes. So the difference between the major scales, all these notes in white boxes going across, and the pentatonic are the underlined ones. So 1, 2, and 3 are the same. Skip the 4, 5, 6, skip the 7. So the C major pentatonic is C, D, E, G, A. And I can come down here and see C, D, E, G, A, and then back to C. That looks like this. And then if I just mess around with the order. And then put those on with the jam tracks, and then it gets really fun. Let's try the C major pentatonic with the jam tracks. So it's also really fun to just find all sorts of different ways to play these scales, and like when I first learned, you may be the same way, where you learned a C major pentatonic starting here, and it was C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A. And those are great patterns to learn and super important, but then I never really saw how to link them. So once I could see all these notes all over the place, it was way easier for me to link them. And so it's just like you need a lot of time to just mess around, and you can use those free jam tracks and pause the video here and use this fretboard while you're messing around with the jam tracks and see if you find it useful. But for me, I've spent hours and hours and hours working on it because it's a fun way to practice, and it made so many cool connections for me. So again, the three big ideas: you want to know, what are my chords that make up the key, what are the Roman numerals, and I want you to know the notes that make up the chords, because that's adds an extra layer of helpful ideas when you're soloing and things like that. I want you to know common chord progressions, and once you start playing those chord progressions, you'll see like, oh, that sounds like this song or that song, and that's because chord progressions they're so common that they can't be copyrighted, because if we copyrighted chord progressions, we'd run out of songs really fast. So melodies can be copyrighted or copywritten, but the chord progressions cannot. And then I want you to know those soloing scales. So learn your major scale and learn your major pentatonic scale, and learn them all up and down the fretboard, and really cool ideas will happen. And as you start to master these keys, you'll find all sorts of really great connections, and start being able to figure out songs on the fly, which was always my dream. So I'll be coming out with videos on all these other keys as well, and showing you how those relate to the toolboxes. If you want to check out more about fretboard toolboxes, if you go to the Fretboard Toolbox website and you go to pick your instrument, I have books set up just like this for all of these different instruments. So if you understand how the guitar book works, then you'll understand how all these work too. So you can click guitar. Be sure to click essential versus complete books. That's the most common question I get asked. You can find a lot more free stuff here. If you want to know about my print versus ebook options, you can read about those here. If you click look inside on any of my books, you can get all of the instructions plus the key of G major pages for free, so you can mess around with the books on your own time and see if you find it useful in the key of G. And if you be sure to just kind of poke around on the site too, because there's all sorts of cool free tools, stuff I've come up with to help myself, and hopefully you find useful too. Lots of other folks have, and free tracks and tabs, and all sorts of cool stuff. So anyways, I hope you found something useful today, and I'll be back on more Fretboard Fridays with more videos on more of my favorite instruments. Thanks for taking a look.